So this artifact consists of two concept maps, and I'll explain a little bit about what a concept map is. It's generated, they were both generated collectively by the learners in my spring 2013 seminar in the ECU Honors College. And the seminar is entitled Pain, Its Paradoxes, and the Human Condition. Concept mapping is sort of an important component of effective writing. Its principal function is to facilitate learners' capacity to sort of synthesize relationships between different kinds of concepts. So it is actually, even though it's not technically a sort of a formal writing assignment, it's actually considered an important part of the writing process, and this is pretty well reflected in the literature. So for our class in particular, the first concept map was especially important because one of the central objectives of the class was to help learners encounter and think about totally new ways of thinking about pain. And there's very little question that the dominant sort of narrative for interpreting and understanding pain in the West, and certainly in contemporary American society, is the biomedical lens. Pain is considered sort of a medical phenomenon. So one of the principal aims of the course is to help learners first see that biomedical lens is only one among many. And then we want to evaluate the strengths and sort of weaknesses of that approach in enabling pain sufferers to make meaning of their experience. And when we talk about the need to make meaning of experience, we're really talking about sort of an issue in context of the humanities and health. So the course is focuses on the complexity of pain, and like all of my courses, it's highly interdisciplinary. And part of the reason this is an important part of the writing process is because precise writing about pain and the human condition is sort of far less likely without clear thinking about pain. So because pain is so complex, it pulls in so many different features of human experience. Is so heavily socialized, it's so heavily culture bound, it can be very difficult to understand the relationships between different concepts that really sort of fundamentally shape the meaning of pain. And so that's what we do in this class, and we pull in evidence and sources from a lot of different approaches: religious studies, ethics, history. We do some medicine, public health, we do some epidemiology, a lot of anthropology, phenomenology. We even read a Greek play. So a lot of that comes out in this class, and the concept map is helping students come to terms with some of this. So to write about pain, the learners have to be able to do these kinds of things. The architecture of the course is designed in such a way that the first 3 weeks of the class introduce basically all of the concepts and frameworks with which we're going to be analyzing and thinking about and writing about pain for the remainder of the course. So the remaining 11 sessions were devoted to circling back around and sort of giving the students a chance to catch their breath and really sort of explore these concepts in detail. The concept map, the assignment itself, the first one was placed sort of right at the end of week 3, right? So they've sort of almost been assaulted, for lack of a better word, with this sort of enormous bank of concepts and approaches from which they have probably heretofore had no experience, really. So that's where the concept map comes in. So what we do in the full class, we brainstorm a word bank of concepts that we deem important to understanding pain. It's not exhaustive; it just gives students sort of a place to start. And then the learners were then divided into groups of 4 to 5 and handed stacks of sticky notes, and they were then instructed to create their own pain concept map, dividing relationships between concepts and ideas about pain. After about 15 minutes, we reconvened as a large group, and using a computer, a projector, and a free open source mind mapping program, we constructed a class pain concept map in real time. And then because each group had a slightly different concept map, we were really able to analyze the justifications for drawing different lines in certain places and including different kinds of concepts. So this is the first one that you can see there, and you can take a look at what it is. Right in the middle there is perception of pain, and you can see different subtopics sort of floating around, and then subtopics of parent topics is what they're generally called, and how the class chose to draw connections and lines between different subtopics and different subparent topics. So it's interesting to compare this to the next one, and this was what we did. This was the final class exercise. So there you get a big snapshot view. The last day of class, the very last thing we did while we were eating cupcakes was to do another pain concept map, and it was a repetition of the same exercise, again just sort of designed to help the students reflect on were they seeing different kinds of relationships, different syntheses. I think just holistically, if you look at these two, you can see that the second one is a lot more detailed, right? There's more subtopics and more topics of subtopics, right? And that's really what's going on, I think, there. And I don't know what exactly that shows. I think it shows that the students see more of the complexity, which is really one of the main goals of the class, to see more of the complexity of pain. So you can see down in the lower left quadrant just how far out that goes, basically, there. So that's the final product was posted to the electronic classroom, and it gave the students an opportunity to reference them and to actually use them in their writing. The students reported really liking it, and I think it's an important tool for helping with the writing process.